States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Greensburg City Council and is called to order at this time. Amy, would you please call the roll?
Jamie Kane.
Here.
Mark Carmen.
Here.
Kevin Fleetwood.
Here.
Rodney King.
Here.
Diana McKenzie. Here. Daryl Pulley.
Here.
Daryl Tressler.
Here. You all should have received a copy of the minutes from our July 9th meeting and our August 5th budget meeting. If there are no edits, additions, or corrections, those will stand as presented. Hearing none, we will move on past that. The first item up is under old business, Zach Weir, Director of Public Projects. We already did 24-11, so that one's done and off the agenda, so we did that last month. So we're just skipping straight to 24-12, right, Amy?
Yes, that's the one we need to do.
Public hearing.
Oh, we have a public hearing?
Why do we do that?
We do. It's an holiday vacation.
Public hearing. Sure, move to open the public hearing.
Okay, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made.
Kevin.
Kevin, second by Jamie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we are now in the public hearing for alley vacation. Zach, do you want to give us a highlight of this topic?
Good evening. As you'll see on the screens, the United Methodist Church has put in alley vacation for the alleys north and west of their main area, I guess. This is because they actually do own the parking to the west of the alley on the west side, and they own the parking and the green space to the north. So they actually own all three parcels in that, connecting the alleys together. So they have petitioned to vacate the alleys. Their intention right now, I believe on the west alley, is still to look at installing speed bumps to try to slow people down going through their parking. So that is their main intention of that alley closure. And then to the north, they're looking at trying to create that green space into more of a park-like setting.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the audience here to speak on this alley vacation?
I guess it'll be me.
Okay, if you could just state your name for the record.
Deborah Reese.
Okay.
And I'm just here as a representative for the church. I'm the one that filled out the application. But yes, what Zach says is true. All we want to do is, after that's vacated, we're going to put speed bumps. Right now, one of the problems is people come in off the North Street and they speed through. Unfortunately, a lot of times during the day, especially after school, with school back in session, is we have a lot of kids playing and riding bikes in the parking lot. So it's more of a safety and security measure. And now that we've redone the entrance to the parking lot, it promotes more speeding. Before, cars would bottom out before they hit the accelerator. So we have no intentions on doing anything other than putting speed bumps in. Our church is plenty big enough. I think one of the concerns by one of the neighbors was that we were going to build a big youth center, and if you've seen the size of our church, we don't need another building. We've got plenty of room.
So your intention is along the north side of your building, you would intend to close that one?
No, that will still stay open.
Okay.
The only thing that we've discussed is putting it at the corner of the building. There's actually already kind of one of those concrete barriers where there had been a gate or something in the past. We've discussed putting something there, but our biggest thing is to put the speed bumps in, which we do. We own all pieces of parcels that attach to that highlighted area. Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this topic? Okay, seeing none?
I don't know if the fire chief has any concerns with this or anything, is that?
No, I sit on obviously the traffic committee and we're good with that. We navigate speed bumps all the time, so.
Well, I mean, if they added a gate there, what's that on, is that Broadway or wherever? Yeah, if they added a gate there, is that something we could put some kind of a key in a Knox box or something, just in case you had to get it? I mean, I guess you can get in from the other side, it's just.
We can do a key in a Knox box, or we can just use our universal key and
Yeah, okay.
buy a new lock for them, I guess.
That might be easier, yeah. So-
That might be cheaper than Knox box, but yeah, we can discuss those options once they come up with a final plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
It's on the corner, right there where the two meet. Is that a garage?
It belongs to the church.
Okay.
It's out, and that creates a lot of blind spots.
Is there an alley that extends to the west, right there where the two meet?
Yeah.
And that's not your property? Okay.
Only
Along the
I'm
block.
sorry.
yeah, the parking lot above is ours.
I was just saying, if you could please come back to a mic to answer. And I'm sorry, sir, I know you responded. Could you
I'm
please
sorry.
state your name for the record?
Tony Reeves.
Thank you, sir.
The parking lot next to our green space is a part of our property line. However, the problem is because it also meets up with the neighbors that have that larger garage. They're across from our smaller garage. And they only access it from the one area, and the way we're doing it, it's not going to block them in. I guess it's the best way I can explain that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So the bigger building is actually the property of someone else?
Yes, and if you see where they've got kind of an angle drive, that's where they kind of go in and out. So, yeah, the smaller building belongs to the church. Any other questions?
They've been contacted about what you're wanting to do.
Everyone in the area received a letter on our block, and the woman that lives in that house actually came over and spoke to me. And she totally understands why we want to put speed bumps in.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Reese.
Okay. Anything else for the public hearing portion?
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Motion's been made by Jamie, second by Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Now, Zach, we'll hop to your 24-12, which is the parking restriction conversation.
Yes, 2024-12 is adding the 5 streets to our no parking restrictions. And along with those 5 streets, Mark and I have gone through the pre-existing ordinances that establish our no parking schedule. And there is a number of those that we would like to edit. I've discussed with our attorney, Chris, how best to do that. And we have decided that for the next meeting, we will put together a resolution for creating that actual parking schedule table. So the table was created somehow through all the ordinance over the years by American Legal Publishing, we assume. So we just want to take that table and actually put it into a legal document to be added and amended as we see fit. Because there are some corrections that need to be made to the ordinances where they had north, south, east, west, backwards, incorrect, and that got put into the table. Obviously, some of that table is state streets that we do not actually have jurisdiction to put no parking on, state-owned streets. So my coming to you tonight, I would like to put a vote on 2024-12, and then at next month's meeting, we will have the resolution ready to compile that whole table as we want it uploaded to American Legal.
We've already done one reading on this, so this is the second reading of this. It was tabled to add the others, which Zach just explained why they're not included yet.
I'd rather wait till it's done.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was gonna ask. Is it better to wait a month and then just approve the second reading of the ordinance with amended versus creating a a resolution?
Well, the resolution would change all of the ordinances, not just 2024-12.
Yeah, so I think the issue that has arisen is that there's several, in doing this somewhat more historical aspect of the project, they've identified several different ordinances that need to either be, specifically addressed to vacate or otherwise amended, and we can do that by essentially making a cumulative table and then addressing it. I think it would be easier to do that in a separate legal document as opposed to simply trying to, given the number of what they've identified, I think it would be easier to do it in a separate document as opposed to trying to do it in an amendment to the 2024-12. So I think my recommendation would be that if you're so inclined to pass 2024-12, you do it, and then allow us to do the resolution that cleans up the table. And then if you have any specific questions on any of those, we can certainly raise that issue.
Do you have any heartburn if we were to table this one, then we could approve it in the second reading next month, along with the resolution?
I don't have an issue with that. I mean, the idea of doing it as a resolution is that it's somewhat easier to, maybe just procedurally to pass. So yeah, I legally have no heartburn with that.
Just that way it makes it clear when we're approving it, we can kind of see the whole picture. At least that's I'd make a motion that we table 2024-12.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Anything else on that topic?
Zach, how long does it typically take for something to actually be put in force once it's passed?
This is my first time doing this, so don't actually know. But I know these signs are ordered. I think we are looking at in the next week or two getting the signs delivered, and then essentially I think once we approve it as the ordinance, it's in effect. I think there's also something in there that says as
No other final
with the signs
communication
up,
with the property owners or anything
they will have been
required?
sent letters with the ordinance. And then, once we put the signs up.
Try to push back from any of those citizens that have received the letters?
There's been a lot of comments on good and bad. A lot of people are happy for it because they do know that there is not much room out there. I think I'd put some emails in your folder from last month on citizens, and a lot of people actually just want no parking altogether on both sides of the streets because they obviously use their driveways, but we don't want to.
I went out and drove that area, and as a truck driver for 30 years, there's no way I'd want to drive a truck through there. A trash truck every week or a fire truck, there's no way I'd want to do that. So
One concern that's come up is like mowing services, where they park while they're mowing people's yards. But obviously they have to abide by the side of the street they're parking on. It just makes it difficult for them with their trucks and trailers finding a parking spot that's open with parking only on one side. But ultimately that's part of the reason of passing this ordinance of restricting parking to only one side, because you get a car and a trailer and a truck and all that clammed up together. You have zero impassability through there with a car, let alone emergency vehicle access.
Anything else? There's a motion and a second on the floor to table 24-12. All those in favor of tabling, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We will table 24-12. Thank you, Zach. So 24-13 is the second reading of the additional appropriations for airport operations. Amy, you want to give a brief reminder on that?
Yes, so this is from an error that was found from back in 2020 where we needed to, it was a reimbursement to the airport. It was reimbursed into the wrong airport fund, and this actually needs to go to the Jackson County Bank loan. So I need it appropriated so that I can cut a check, so that I can put it towards the Jackson County Bank loan.
I'll make a motion, we approve 2024-13 on the second reading.
Motion made by Jamie, seconded by Kevin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, we will move to new business. Matt Mason is with us this evening from the Veritas Group. Good evening, Matt.
Good evening.
And this might be our last time.
Hopefully, and with the news I received today, very optimistic. Right. So with the update, we'll start with site work. We are complete out there with the site work. All curbs are in, all pavement is in, all striping is in, landscaping is all in, with the seeding as well. Good portion of the seeding has taken place. You can see the area to the west there. That still does, it has been seeded and watered. They had to reseed that area to get it to take. For the street department, same thing, that building has been wrapped up, the furniture has been moved in, generator is installed and started up, and the owner furnished equipment has also been installed, and they have, Meyer and ADJOURN has actually received the certificate of occupancy for that building on July 12th. As you remember, the solar panels are going to be installed on the top of that building, and that is scheduled for the fall to start that work. Couple shots from the inside. Again, all the furniture has been installed. It's looking very good. There are a few punch list items that we do need to get the contractor, Runenbaum, back out to complete that work. We are pushing on that as well to get in prior to Mark and his group actually moving in. Fire station, there are two actual outstanding, I would say, outstanding work items. Those include the window sunshades. Those are metal structures that are actually on the outside of the building, go over the building or over the windows. That material actually arrived on site yesterday, and they began installing those today and should wrap those up this week. The other item has been the generator. That piece of equipment, it was delivered. There were some components that were missing from that. The manufacturer has since got those parts out, and those components have been installed. So the generator's been installed. We just, in order to complete that, the manufacturer rep has to do the proper startup for that, and that is scheduled for next Friday, August 23rd. In the interior, work is complete, and we've gone through an exhaustive punch list phase. Definitely a very long list, but it was necessary to make sure that turning over a good building, or Meyer and ADJOURN was turning over a good quality building. But they've been getting through those items and have completed about 95% of the punch list. The other item or issue inside the building that's been a problem, kind of a headache, has been the elevator install. Same thing, that was another piece of equipment that arrived. There were some control components that came separately and came later, which hindered them from being able to close up some of the walls around the elevator. But those have since been installed. All the walls have been completed around there, and the last few components arrived today, and they were installed today. So at this point, they are scheduling the state elevator inspection as of this morning. The project completion there for the fire is right now all the owner furniture has been being installed. Majority of it is installed. There's a lot of the bunk rooms, that furniture needs the hardware to be assembled, and they're getting that out there and looking to complete that. The radio testing is also, we're trying to get that set up for next week as well, an APS for the alerting system. And as of prior to this meeting, stopped out there, had a conversation with Meyer and ADJOURN, and we were at a point where they're going to be calling for the final inspections for certificate of occupancy tomorrow, pending the schedule of building inspections. Hopefully they'd be able to get out there on Thursday to actually perform those final inspections and get that certificate of occupancy for that building. Couple shots from the interior. Apologize for the middle one being dark, but that is from the kitchen looking to the day room. Photo on the right there is the apparatus bay, and then you see some of the furniture moving into the office spaces there. Overall, the budget has remained healthy. We started at the 19.9. As you recall, we added the street department asphalt, the solar panels, as well as the bare shell extension and all the preemption devices and solar flashers, which brought it to 20.6, and that is where we stand today. So, quick update for those who have not been out there.
Are the solar flashers installed yet?
They are not installed yet. We have gone through a scoping period with the vendor, and I apologize. Going through a scoping with the vendor, and have gone through and confirmed all the pricing and everything with them. They were actually able to be out at the site last week. We met them, figured out where they've got some boxes that would be located inside of the fire department. We're able to locate those. So right now we are scheduling, Meyer and Agent released them, I believe today as well, to get that work started. So they're scheduling that actual installation, but they're not in yet.
Okay. Any other questions for Matt? I made the comment at the Board of Works meeting. September 14th is our targeted for the public open houses. We will be sure to start publishing as much information as quickly as possible about timing and schedules and those kinds of things, but please add that to your calendar. It will be midday, so please keep that on your list as an opportunity to attend. It will be open to the public. It will be public open houses. We encourage everyone to plan to come out and spend an hour or two with us that day. But Matt, thank you. I know that the Veritas Group has treated us really well through this whole project. We couldn't have done it without you, so thank you for making time to be here and helping shepherd the projects to completion.
Definitely, we appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Sturmer, you've got fire inspections, fees, and fines.
Good evening, Board. You should have received a letter from Fire Inspector Alan Campbell, and as part of his professional development and getting him used to doing this, he brought this to my attention of something wanting to do. I spoke with the mayor who also agreed and approved. We had Chris Stevens look into it just briefly to triple check us, and then I turned it back over to Alan to run with as it was his project. So I'm going to invite him up, and I'm going to step back, and he is going to present the fire department fees and fines schedule to you. If you so are moved, a affirmative vote tonight would then move towards resolution or drafting of an ordinance that then we would vote next month. So I'm gonna turn it over to him, and be gentle with him. I'll bail him out if we need to.
Good evening, council. For those that don't know me, I'm Alan Campbell. I'm fire inspector for the fire department. Last year, the General Assembly passed House Enrolled Act 1575, which prevented cities and towns from adopting their own fire and building ordinances. So there was anybody that had one at the time was now null and void. We can only enforce what the state allows us to enforce now. One of the things that is in a lot of fire inspection or fire prevention ordinances are fines and fee schedules. You should have gotten in your packet
Real quick, Alan, I think it went to the Board of Works packet.
It did,
I
because
saw it, but it's.
I knew I was reading it last week.
It
So
was
hold on. So I've added it to the folder. Alan, why don't you continue with your presentation? We will probably table this so that they can review it. But why don't you go ahead and tell us about it? We can focus on that, and then we'll look at this, because I think it was, because I knew I read it.
I read it,
And you
but then
read
I
it.
realized it's in the wrong
Yeah,
packet.
so I've added it to the folder, but why don't you continue? We'll listen to you, and then we'll consider this over the next month. How's that sound?
like I said, a lot of the teeth behind fire prevention in an ordinance is fines and fee schedules. So I took the time to look up the surrounding areas from us that have fine schedules. And we can do the fines and fees as a schedule and not put it into an ordinance. So I came up with these numbers along with the help of the chief to kind of entice people to get their stuff done or get their stuff fixed or back into service. Since 2020, I've done 1,122 inspections, meaning this is the second time or the third time I've gone into a place after they've had problems, whatever size, and had to go in and try to get them done. Very few places in town require more than 2. Since I've started this job in 2019, businesses and people in town have been really receptive to getting their stuff fixed. It was a lot of just education. But I still have problem clients, I would call them, that I can go out there, and I've gone out there multiple years in a row, multiple re-inspections, and had the same problems. Came up to one today. As a matter of fact, I have been working with this company to try to get their sprinkler system fixed, and it finally came through as an impairment today, meaning their sprinkler system was not working. So I had to implement a fire watch, which is just somebody going around every 30 minutes documenting that there is no smoke, no fire, nothing's going on. And it's documented. The problem with this is I'm using the state to rely on enforcing this. The state does have a fines schedule through their inspector. The problem with that is if I go to them every time I have somebody, I'm going to wear them out. They're going to be tired of seeing me, and I'm not doing my job. And like I said, I have very few over the years people that I've had trouble with or companies that I've had trouble with. But this would give us some teeth, and from the amounts is not such the thing, but it's the idea. If you put money, dollar sign behind it, maybe they'll take it seriously. So we came up with this, and from what I've done in my research, these are in line with places like Shelbyville, Columbus. You know, I've done cities with comparable size and comparable populations, and this is about what they do to get their inspectors something to be able to use to get their problem children fixed.
So this will be a separate document that's in your packet.
This will be a separate document that's in your packet. The fees and fine schedules will be an Excel spreadsheet. The memo will then be in the Word document, but they do go hand in hand.
Just Sharon, I know they haven't got to see this yet. I don't know that I don't see any of these that are like out of line or crazy. I mean, I think we're trying to give people an opportunity, warn them, give them an opportunity to fix it, and then it's really not until they basically refuse to fix it, and then we'll let them take a look, but I don't think it's out of line.
And we do have available the names of the businesses and how many times we've been there. Obviously, we're not here to do that in a public forum, but if further seen or further necessity is driven for this, it is. Does anyone else have any questions for Alan?
So Alan, just a couple things. The idea is that when you go out and do inspections, you're there obviously as a representative of us, but you also help enforce the state fire code and fire restrictions. Is that fair?
Yes, my whole job is to go out and make sure these places are safe. My family lives here, so I mean they're in a lot of these buildings, so I want them as safe as possible. And I used the state just because they brought them up as a backup. So I do enforce state codes, and if I need backup, I use them right now.
But you don't have necessarily the authority, maybe through the state, to implement some of the fines that that would have to come through them?
Yes.
So you're trying to create an environment where if you have something you're working on, even though it may be in conflict because we can't create our own fire code, there is a local citation that you can issue, but you can't do that today.
Yes.
Okay. But we're not creating our own fire code because we're not allowed to do that. We're creating our own enforcement mechanism because you don't have the authority to use the state's enforcement mechanism without their involvement.
Yes.
Okay.
As well as those funds go back to the state versus keeping them local if we were to issue the citation. If the state issues a citation, that goes into the state general fund to where this would go into our, a local fund that we would probably establish a different line item for fire inspections.
And just so everybody knows, businesses in town are important to me, my family-owned businesses for many, many years. So it's not like I go in and stomp around and try to get them or try to write things up. I would bend over backwards to help them. There's companies that have had major problems that I have bent over backwards, time-wise, to try to get them to fix it. As long as they're moving in the right direction, that's what I want to see.
So you'd foresee bringing back an ordinance maybe next month with this?
The goal is to, obviously, because there is fees and fines attached, get the feeling of the council of this, is this mechanism something that we want to pursue? And then we'll work with council in getting a ordinance drafted up and put that forward. And so I guess if there's support tonight, we can work on that once everybody's had a chance to review it. But again, before we just put an ordinance together and go through that work, I want to make sure that we're all tracking in the same direction.
I just gotta go back to your last comment. I think, Alan, you do fine, and I've never heard a negative word about your attitude in that. I think you do a great job with that.
Yeah.
I think what we do want to include in that ordinance, though, because people change over time or things change, is just that appeals process, and maybe it comes back to the Board of Works. So if somebody wants to appeal that you cited them $100 for this citation, they at least have that process. They can come back to, maybe it's the Board of Works or something, right? So I'd be in favor of putting together an ordinance and talking about it.
Agreed.
Any other questions or direction for them before they start? I think the appeals paragraph is a great idea too.
Council will document.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, both.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Alan.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, Zach, we've got 2024-14, which is the alley vacation that we talked about in the public hearing. Are there any questions for Zach that have changed since then?
I do have one additional. We did have a citizen come in that lives off the westward alley. They have a trailer that they park in the back of their property, and they use that alley to pull it in and out. And they came in because they were concerned about being able to pull their trailer out through the United Methodist Church parking lot. So, as far as I know, that all got worked out. But there was one citizen that came to City Hall, so just want to make you aware of
Shaking
that.
her head, yes, so it must have got worked out.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve.
This did come with what recommendation from traffic?
Approval.
Okay, perfect. Motion's been made by Daryl Poling, second by Mark. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Go for it.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion's been made by Kevin, second by Jamie to suspend the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Make a motion we pass 2024-14 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made by Jamie, seconded by Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's the annual appointment of a representative to the Decatur County Community Foundation Lilly Scholarship Committee. That is a city council appointment. I have served as your appointment for that for the last 4 years, but it is always on the floor that you all can appoint whoever you would like to, including yourselves, to that committee. It's a great opportunity to see some of the work that the youth do in our community. It does take a few hours, and it's all on like the portal through the foundation. So
I've done it a few times in the past as well.
I would make a recommendation with all his years of experience in education that Dr. King take this on, if he's so inclined.
I've served on that committee, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Yes.
I'll second that.
okay, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Dr. King to that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Jamie, do you want to give us an update from the board?
No old business. Matt came and gave us the same update from the Veritas group. We approved road usage, if you want to call it, for the Caleb Brown 5K that will be going on during the Fall Festival on September 21st. We approved a conditional offer of employment for the police. Then we approved 2 probationary firefighters to private firefighters. We approved a process for selling some equipment, basically going through some old equipment from the fire department, basically going through city departments first, and then looking to sell to local fire departments, volunteer departments around. And then we approved basically the sale of a fire truck to New Point after our ladder truck comes back here in approximately a couple weeks, is back in service. Zach came, we approved a change order for Franklin Street for an electrical panel. Gave us an update on Franklin Street, that it's ahead of schedule, right, Zach? No, it's on schedule, sorry, wrote that down wrong, it's on schedule, sorry, I was playing. We approved basically, what was it? Oh, I can't even read my own writing. Basically approved a bid for the Washington Street CCMG grant, and then Zach gave us an update on what we applied for 2024 CCMG grant number 2 application that would cover 11 streets, about 30 blocks. We should know more about that in a couple months. And Josh came and gave us an update on bills from O'Mara, Joe Hennigman, and Cummins generator repairs for the wastewater treatment plant. We approved a strand order, task order, basically for contract services, on-call contract services with them. And then we put a Cummins generator contract to repair and maintain our generators for the wastewater treatment plant on. We tabled that discussion for this month. That's it.
Mark, what about Main Street?
Market to Meal is this Saturday from 6 to 9. This event is sold out. Thanks to the committee for getting that word out to get those tickets sold. The interior renovation grant is open for applications. Planning for the holiday walk is underway, and the Economic Vitality Committee is hosting a technical assistance workshop for downtown businesses on October 21st from 10 to 12. Business owners can speak to local experts about marketing, e-commerce, succession planning, staff management, and general business planning. The end.
No planned meeting?
No plan meeting.
Okay. Daryl, EDC?
Yeah, Economic Development Corp met last week. A lot of projects in discussion, a lot of activity. Number one focus really right now is on the daycare situation, trying to expand daycare. A lot of focus on that. Brian Robbins reported that on the READY grant number 1 that there's been 59% of the funds dispersed, which ranks us number 1 in the state of all the regions for that as far as money being dispersed. And then he did mention that the Tractor Supply property is getting ready to be leased to a packaging company out of Dearborn County. So we'll have something going in there, which is a positive. So that was it.
Rodney, the 911 board?
I have nothing to report yet at a meeting, but do you have any information in regards to the open position?
The director position for 911 is open. There's a process that is happening through the county, as that is a county-controlled agency, although we are partners in it. And then the board will have executive interviews at the end of this month. So if someone is interested in applying for the director for dispatch, that is open. What about planning commission? Anything from plan? Or I'm sorry, we already covered that. No, I was thinking about BZA, which there was something from. By solid waste?
We're just gearing up for the, tops away.
Which is on the 7th. First thing in the morning out of the fairgrounds. You had brought up a couple months ago about charges. I don't think that's going to happen.
We got some grant money, we got like $10,000 grant. They're gonna use that towards tires this year. But it's still on the table to where they're gonna be limiting what you can bring in, and if you bring it over that, you'll have to pay for it.
Okay. Anybody has questions on that, feel free to reach out to Stephanie at Solid Waste. Daryl, the redevelopment commission.
A few things. We had a meeting last Thursday evening, and the Iron Man project, the apartment building that's going to be built on the old jail property. We are working with Iron Man to come up with an agreement for development. The plan has been revised to a 4-story building. It was originally 3. We're going to 4, and that will give us we'll have 82 total units, which is something that this town really needed. Looking to start on that in the spring of 2025. On the Liberty Circle or Liberty Lakes, 2 to 3 lots are prepped, ready to go, and that's about it on that. And then the other is we had an offer to buy the 12-acre parcel that we have for sale out on Veterans Way. That was turned down due to the developer did not have the gentleman that was going to buy it did not have a plan of what he wanted to put there. So we've asked Mark and Ken to develop a list, draft a list of what we're actually looking for out there, and maybe that will help us in attracting buyers. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've covered about everything down here. Rick, do you want to talk about do you want me to bark through the list for your SRF project list that the water board's considering?
Whichever.
Why don't you go for it?
Good evening. I presented to the water board this last week, I believe. I got four projects we're going to submit to SRF, one being the South Tower. As you know, we've been out on Broadway a lot lately, the last year, so we're looking at replacing the water main from 4th Street to across the bypass and from Broadway to Lincoln on 10th Street. We've had quite a bit of trouble with both of them sections. So aging infrastructure, something that, every community's dealing with. We have a section of the NDOT project, water main, that is being missed. They're stopping at the tracks. We have a short section of cast iron that goes under the railroad, and we're looking at replacing that. And
The West Main Loop.
yes, we're looking at the West Main water loop. Back in the early 2000s, we replaced the water main all the way west in front of Delta Faucet, stop there. We're looking at tying in the end of that and wrapping it around the park to the county where they ran their water line, and then on over to Ryle Addition to tie into the 10th Street. Sorry, the 10-inch at Ryle Addition.
Can you talk a little bit about the benefit? We have some looped water mains, and can you
We
talk?
do, I mean, obviously the loop thing around the city is just, I mean, that's something, redundancy, you can't go wrong with redundancy in water, so that's just part of my long-term, I mean, I've been looking at that for a long time. It's gonna benefit pressure on West Main. I know right now they're having trouble with some fire flow, because obviously it's a dead end out there. And if we wrap that around and tie it into the 10-inch, you're gonna have a two-way feed from the south tower, so that's what we're looking at doing. Any questions?
Perfect.
Not one?
There you go.
Thanks.
Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, final reminder that next week is Heavy Trash Week. It is here again, and so good luck to our crews for that next week. As always, it will be your trash day. It is for those that live in the city that have trash service. Please be respectful and cognizant of that. And then big thanks to all of the crews that helped with National Night Out. That was very, very successful last week. I know that Chief McNeely and Tiffany and his office have put in a lot of time and effort, and all the other partners that helped put it together. Fire helped cook and get everything organized. So it takes a street, everybody pitches in, makes that event great. We have well over 1,000 people there. We did over 840 meals, and kids and adults and everyone had a great time with us. State Police brought their helicopter down. That was the first time we've had that with us. Lifeline was here, the National Guard, all kinds of good stuff. So hopefully everybody will be able to attend that next year. We do have one more over on Scobie Street down by Sid's Wash and Clean. That's October 10th. That'll be the last one for the year. And anything else? If not, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.